Hey
Hi.
everybody, I'm so pumped that you've joined. Caitlin's here, Carson's here, and I'm Maxie. I'm the director of Local Labo, and I just wanted to thank everybody for being on this broadcast today. Caitlin is our Local Labo Charlotte leader, and she's going to be hosting an amazing conversation with Carson Tate. I'm going to let the two of them take it away, but I just wanted to give you a big hello and a big thank you for joining today.
Hi guys, I'm Caitlin Sellers. I'm the local Lavo Charlotte leader. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm introducing Carson Tate, who's an internationally known productivity expert based in Charlotte, North Carolina, so give her some local love. Carson has developed a revolutionary program to determine an individual's productivity style to the point that you can customize your productivity. So I'll let Carson kind of talk a little bit more about that, but she's going to really hone in on managing your mobile email.
Great. Hi, Caitlin. Thanks. Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for joining and investing your time with us tonight. So I am a big believer in that one size does not fit all when it comes to our productivity. I don't know if you've ever tried on a one-size-fits-all t-shirt, but I have, and they just don't fit. You know, they're too big, too short, tight in all the wrong places. Well, it's the same thing with your productivity. So it's all about personalizing your productivity based on the way you think so that you can develop custom strategies that actually work for you and help you conquer that busyness, tame your inbox, and live fully, which I think is all of our goals.
So, Carson, can you just tell me some amazing tips that our audience can take away in terms of simplicity and quality of life and just something that they can take action today?
So I think for most of us, the biggest place where we don't feel like our lives are simple and we feel overwhelmed is our inboxes. I don't know about you, but at times I feel like mine is about to explode and it's trying to take over my life and it wants my attention and it's binging and tinging and at me. So I just would say let's start with our inboxes and how can we simplify those, and specifically what can you do around managing email on your mobile device. So most of us have an inbox that we manage at work, but a lot of us spend our time managing email on mobile. And so I wanted to give you a couple of ideas on how to tame that inbox once and for all, but specifically on your mobile device. So I'll start with kind of the overarching idea that managing email on mobile is part of a broader email management strategy. So I don't believe that you can do all of your email management from your mobile device because you don't have all of the technology tools. There are just some things that you can't do. So when you think about managing email on your mobile, let's take it in the context of the functionality that you do have and really leverage that, and then also make sure that you're setting up your inbox from your primary PC so that it is making it easy to manage your email on your mobile device. So the first, yeah, go ahead, Caitlin.
I was just going to ask, do you use a particular app or a particular program, or do you like Gmail or Outlook?
So I personally work on an Outlook platform. Most of my clients are corporate clients and they are using Outlook. However, I also have a Gmail account and use that as well. And I really don't think it matters what platform you're using. It's how are you reading and responding to your email messages, and then also how are you optimizing the technology features available in that platform to support your email management. So for example, one of the most underutilized features in all of our Outlook, Gmail, email platforms is the rules feature. So the rules feature is a program that it's not a program, let me rephrase that. It's a technology tool embedded in our email platforms. And what it allows you to do is make a decision once on what you want to do with a message, and then have your email system perform that action for you every time. So it's almost like we turn your inbox into your personal assistant. So let's say, for example, you get newsletters, trade updates. You might get maybe the Wall Street Journal every day. Well, you don't need to see that newsletter, that trade update right when it comes in your inbox. So you could write a rule. Every message that is from this person or has this subject line, move it to my read later folder. And so you aren't moving it, it's not cluttering your inbox, and you have one place where you can go and read all of those messages later. And using the rules feature also really makes it much easier to manage your email on your mobile device, because what it does when used well, the rules really streamline your inbox, so the only stuff that you're seeing is stuff that you need to take immediate action on, action that you're responsible for.
What kind of folders would you suggest myself and other users to use? You mentioned the Read Later folder. Are there other types of folders that you would recommend?
Yep, great question. So using folders is not only a great strategy to organize your messages in your primary inbox, but also on your mobile device. Really important to have folders set up to help you manage your email on your mobile. So the folders that I would recommend would be task-specific folders, particularly if you spend a lot of your time managing email on a mobile device. So, for example, it could be a call folder. So all of the emails where you need to place a phone call, you would move into that folder. You could have a folder where it's a follow-up. You need to follow up on this item. You might have a folder read review, which I've already mentioned. You might have a folder schedule. You might have a folder urgent response. So one group or type of one category of folder that you might have is based on the action that you need to take on that email. So what this allows you to do is read the email, decide on your next action step. What do I need to do with it? And if you can't perform that action in 2 to 3 minutes, you just move it to the folder with the designated action. One other hint that I would give you on the folders. Yeah, sure.
What about a cap on folders? You're mentioning all these amazing ideas, but can you get into folder overload?
Great question, Caitlin. Absolutely. I've seen some impressive folder trees in my days where I'm like, wow, I think we might have a couple hundred folders here. So yes. So you can have too much of a good thing, and I always tell folks that there is a very delicate balance between being organized and efficient and being too organized where you spend more time managing your system and building folders and moving things around than you do actually doing the work. Great question. And here's one way to manage folders. So you can actually organize your folders in Outlook. This works in the Outlook platform, across actually the entire Microsoft family, using numbers and symbols. So the default organization of your folders in Outlook is alphabetical. So A's at the top, Z's at the bottom. Well, let's say you're working on a project that starts with S, and you don't want to scroll all the way down. If you put the number 1 in front of that S folder, it will move it to the top of your list. So now it's very accessible for you, and you've got ultimate flexibility in how you view and access your folders.
Great point, Carson. So just a quick question to go off of that. In the iPhone, I personally have an iPhone, and we have this VIP section where we have all the people we're truly interested in. How do you manage those?
So your VIP section, these are people that you are following on, that are sending you emails and you want to respond to, or is this related to social media?
People that I have flagged that said these are important people. Every email they send me is urgent, and I need to always respond to them as quickly as I can.
Ah, got it. Okay. So first I'm going to ask the question of, do you have the right VIPs? Mm-hmm. So often our default is we tend to have a lot of VIPs. So Or have you really looked at and made a decision around these are the top 5, maybe 10 clients, prospects, my boss, my direct reports that I really need to pay attention to and I really need to respond to quickly. So first, get really clear on what is a VIP and do you have the right ones. And then secondly, what does an urgent response mean? Like, does that mean you're going to respond within 5 minutes of receiving the email? Or is the commitment that you've made to them, I'll get back to you within 4 hours, half a day? So you've got to define the parameters of urgent, because your definition of urgent and my definition of urgent could be very different, which is only going to create frustration for you and for them. And so once you're clear,
consider urgent, Carson?
Huh?
What would you consider urgent?
Well, I don't really consider much urgent. I spent a lot of my youth volunteering in hospitals, and so I have a different frame around what urgent is. And in my line of work, we really don't have many things that are urgent. So I'm pretty clear with my clients around I will get back to you within 24 hours. If I'm on vacation, I have checks and balances in place. But there's really not much that's truly urgent in my world.
Well, one of the things you mentioned in the green room that really stuck out to me is like having email on your mobile. In checking your email, you almost feel like you have to respond instantaneously. And the idea that you can give yourself some leeway and you can mark that in a different category, and you really have the choice whether or not you want to act on it, or you would like to wait 24 hours to respond. So if you'll talk a little bit about urgency and maybe some of the other tips that you can bring to the table on that.
Sure. So I'd start with a saying that one of my wise teachers taught me, that you teach people how to treat you. So you teach people how to treat you, and this really applies to email. So if you receive an email and then respond instantaneously, you're teaching your colleagues, your clients, your best friend that that's how you respond. If that works for you, keep doing it. I mean, one of my big mantras is if you have something that works for you, do not change it just because I made a suggestion. I want you to be productive and happy, so do what works for you. So where are you teaching people things that no longer serve you? And so evaluate that first, and then that's going to help you define your own sense of urgency and what you really want to do and how you want to respond on your mobile device.
Do you think that it should be something that you let people know, hey, I'm taking the time to respond to you quickly? One of my great friends, Meg Seitz, she always responds from her mobile, and she uses this hashtag Speedy Mobile. This was instantly answered, like, I'm giving you the time of day to respond urgently, but you know that shouldn't be an expectation for all the time.
Right, absolutely. So a strategy, if you do want to acknowledge receipt of the email, acknowledge receipt. So there are two fast ways to do this. So if you're working off of your PC, then you can create an auto signature. So you know how you have your signature with your name and phone and maybe your LinkedIn and Facebook and other social media channels. You can create an auto signature. You just hit reply and insert that signature that says, just wanted to let you know, thanks for your email, I got it, I'll be responding shortly, or I'll get back to you. So you automate that so you're not investing your time doing it. And then on your mobile device, you can type out, thanks, got it, and make sure you have a mobile signature that says, as Meg's does, hashtag speedy reply mobile number, so that you're communicating and letting folks know that you've received it, and now you're going to process it in alignment with the rest of your task and deliverables for that day or that week.
Perfect. Do you have any other items that you want to talk about managing your mobile on email?
Sure. So we talked about the rules and how important I think rules are both for basic email management as well as managing on your mobile. And then we talked about folders. Great question on that. And I think folders are essential in managing your inbox as well as managing email on mobile. And then I also want to just talk about kind of a basic premise to email management that applies across devices. So it doesn't matter if you're on your PC or on your mobile device, but it's our tendency to reread email messages. So I don't know about you, but I've been known to stand in line for my coffee. I'll take a little peek at my email. I'll start reading the message. Then I have to place my order. I've completely forgotten by the time I get my coffee what in the world I just read on that email, and now I'm rereading it. And this, starts over and over again. So the rereading of our email messages, particularly on our mobile devices when we feel like we're being really efficient, is not that efficient. So I would suggest that you read a message when you're ready to make a decision about it. I'm not saying you have to fully execute on what's being asked, but it's read and make a decision on what your next action step is. So think about it this way, just to hammer this point home. So let's say, for example, you get 100 email messages a day-ish, which is light, I know, for most of you who are joining us tonight. So you open your inbox, or you pull it up on your mobile phone, and you read those messages. And let's say it takes about a minute to read those messages, or a little more. If you do that, it's an hour and 40 minutes of your time to read those 100 messages. Now, if you have to go back and reread them, because all you did was kind of read them, you were getting some coffee, you were kind of doing something else, you're at 3 hours of your time. I mean, 3 hours in your inbox, I can think of a lot of things I'd rather do in 3 hours than rereading email messages.
Carson, let me tell you how guilty I am. I will read emails, and then I will mark them as unread.
Yeah.
I'll go back and read them and I need to get an answer to that. Mark it unread again. Go back to it. Okay. Now I'm ready. I can respond.
Right. Well, and Caitlin, we all do it, and part of what I'm hearing you say is there are some messages that we actually want to think about. We need to think about. You might need additional information. You just need to sit on it. I want to encourage folks to eliminate that rereading loop. That's a huge time drain. So here's what I suggest you do. Open your email, read it, and decide on your next action step. So your next action step could be think about XYZ, or put together final sales report. And when you've made this decision on your next action step, if you're at your computer, there are 3 strategies I would suggest you using. The first one is to change the subject line of that email message. So what you do is you literally open the email message, highlight the subject line. This works on every platform, Gmail, Outlook for Mac. So you open the email, highlight the subject line, and you type in your next action step. So review, Q2 sales report, provide updated stats. So I'm literally typing in exactly what I need to do. And then you hit the close button, and it's going to ask you if you want to save your changes, and you do. And so now what you'll see in your inbox is instead of the arbitrary subject line, you see your next action step. So this eliminates the rereading cycle. So that's one option. The second option, yeah, go ahead.
So do you heavily use your draft folder? Is that where everything is saving into, or is it a folder that you're moving the email to and it's just changing the subject line?
Great question. So when you change the subject line, the email actually stays in your inbox. You haven't moved it out. All you have done is literally change the subject line. So in essence, what this does is it creates a to-do list in your inbox. So we're converting your inbox into a to-do list. So if you're highly visual, this works great because you can see what you need to do. The other two strategies do offer you the chance to move this message out. So you can move it to your calendar. So I use this all the time. If I get an email message and there's additional context, information, a PowerPoint deck, or something that relates to an upcoming call or meeting, I just move it to my calendar. And then when it's time for that meeting, I have everything I need at my fingertips in that calendar entry to really be prepared for that meeting or that call. The other option, I'll give you two more options. The third option is to move it to your task function. So use the task function that's available to you and actually convert it to a task. And then the fourth one, Caitlin, is exactly what you suggested. You could use some of those folders that we talked about, those action-specific folders, and move the messages to those folders.
Awesome.
Read and decide and act on your email messages. No more long time spent processing messages.
Read, decide, and act. I think that needs to be my new mantra. So one of the things that you mentioned is being visual and needing to see exactly what needs to be done. And I have conversations with people all the time, and they're like, I just need to see it every day. It needs to be in front of me. I need to be looking at it all the time. Well, mobile email seems to be that sort of pain in your side. You have to figure out how you can look at it. One thing I thought was really interesting is that you're offering this productivity style assessment, and you really talk about a lot of different opportunities and communication styles and productivity tools. I just want you to talk to our audience a little bit about how to leverage that style assessment and use it to its fullest potential.
Right, great, thanks. So we're going to make sure that you get a link to this assessment, the productivity style assessment, for the folks that are joining us. And the way it works is quick assessment, 10 minutes or less, and what it does is it identifies your productivity style. And your productivity style is the way you think, and it helps inform the way you structure your workflows. And so this information will then help you customize the way you manage your email, the way you manage your time, the way you manage your task list. And there are 4 different styles: prioritizer, planner, arranger, and visualizer. And each style has very specific ways that they want to receive information and the ways that they want to communicate information. So an example in the context of email. So if you're a prioritizer, your thinking is very logical, fact-based, quantitative. You've never met a piece of data you didn't like. And if a classic prioritizer, if you get an email from them, it's probably 3 letters, KTX. They can't be too short and succinct with their email communications. So if I'm emailing a prioritizer, I make sure that I strip it down to its really most essential elements. So there's no good morning, there's no extra fluff, it's just what they need. The planner's thinking is characterized as being very organized, sequential. They're planners. They've never met a project planning tool they didn't like. Very organized. If I'm emailing a planner, I make sure I have a very organized email. I use bullet points. I use numbers. I tell them how I want them to respond. An arranger's thinking is characterized as being very intuitive, they're kinesthetic, very communicative. They've never met a stranger. You get in an elevator with them, by the end of the ride, you've told them your kids' names, your pets' names, everything about yourself. And they do their best work with and through people. So if you're communicating with an arranger, you need to ask them how their day is. It matters to them. So an email is, good morning, I hope you're having a great day. How was your weekend? And then you move on to the business. A visualizer, their thinking is characterized as being very big picture. They're synergistic, highly visual, risk takers, ideation and brainstorming are some of their favorite things to do. Don't tell them it's always been done this way before, because that makes them just want to pull their hair out, because there is always room for innovation. And if you're emailing a visualizer, you need to give them the context and why it matters and why it's interesting and make it fun. So our styles really matter, and they really impact the way we work and the way we communicate.
One thing I think is really interesting is getting to the depth of the people that you're talking to and figuring out the way that they like to be communicated with, and not so much how you like to be communicated with. So with my friends and with my clients and with my coworkers, I always make sure to say, how do you prefer to be communicated with? Do you like text or email or phone calls? And then I prefer text message, or if it's a lot of information, give me a call and follow up with an email. So make sure that you're actually articulating, hey, this is who I am and this is the way that I like things. So you're getting that information to the best of the user and the partner or whoever you're working with, to the ability of the relationship.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for your time and your energy and your information. We will be sending out a follow-up email to everybody who RSVP'd on Labo.com. You can go to our local Labo Charlotte page. You can check out our digital page if you aren't in the area. You can do both, whatever works for you. But be sure to check out CarsonTate.com. She is the author of Working Simply. She's coming out with a book in the beginning of 2015, so we will surely be following up. But thank you so much from local Labo Charlotte, Labo.com, and productivity expert Carson Tate. Have a great night, guys.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Good luck taming your inboxes.
Thanks. Bye.